Loneliness can be the heaviest gift on Christmas Eve. As the snow falls outside and the world feels silent, one unexpected connection can change everything. This is a story of a woman, a dog, and a life-altering realization that love and companionship come in the most unexpected forms. I had never even thought about sharing such a moment with a neighbor's dog before, but on that lonely Christmas Eve, as the snow fell softly outside, I found myself yearning for comfort. I just wanted to rest for a moment, to escape the weight of solitude, and let the quiet stillness of the holiday envelop me. Let me start with a little about myself. My name is Emily Peterson. I'm a 35-year-old woman living in a quiet suburban town. I've always been a plus-size woman with soft curves and a figure that measures 42 inches at the chest, waist, and hips. It's taken years to accept and love myself as I am, though society often tells me otherwise. My husband, Mark, has always told me I'm beautiful, and I believe he means it. Mark is everything a woman could ask for in a husband. He's handsome, hardworking, and an incredible father to our 2 kids. We've been married for 10 years, and while I love him dearly, there's a part of me that feels incomplete. You see, Mark is often busy with his work, and when he's home, he's either exhausted or preoccupied. In the bedroom, things have been underwhelming, to say the least. I've always been loyal and tried to focus on the good in our marriage, but a woman's heart and body crave more than just routine. They crave connection. That Christmas Eve, I poured everything into creating the perfect holiday. I decorated the house with garlands and fairy lights, baked cookies, and wrapped presents for the kids. The house looked like something out of a Hallmark movie. I wanted everything to be perfect for when Mark and the kids got home from visiting his parents. I stayed behind to prepare, eager to surprise them. As the hours ticked by, the silence in the house grew heavier. The loneliness I'd been pushing aside for years crept in, settling like a cold weight on my chest. I sat by the window, watching the snow fall, and felt a longing I couldn't quite put into words. It was more than just the absence of company. It was a yearning to feel truly seen and understood. That's when I noticed Max, the neighbor's German shepherd, in the backyard. Max often wandered over to our house. He was a playful, gentle dog who loved attention. I opened the back door and he came bounding in, shaking snow from his fur. His big brown eyes looked up at me, full of warmth and understanding. It was as if he could sense the ache in my heart. I gave him some treats and sat down on the couch. Max hopped up beside me, resting his head on my lap. For a moment, I felt an odd sense of comfort. His presence reminded me of something I'd been missing: simple, unconditional companionship. I stroked his fur and let out a sigh I didn't realize I'd been holding. As the evening wore on, I talked to Max as if he were an old friend. I told him about my frustrations, my dreams, and my fears. He listened silently, his ears twitching every so often, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was cathartic to speak my heart aloud, even if the one listening couldn't respond. The hours passed, and the house remained quiet. I had set the dining table with care, imagining the laughter and joy that would soon fill the room. Yet the empty chairs seemed to mock my efforts, and I began to wonder if my life had become a series of acts to please others while neglecting myself. Max stayed close, his presence a steady reminder that I wasn't entirely alone. We sat by the fireplace, the glow of the flames casting dancing shadows on the walls. I ran my fingers through his fur, grateful for the simple comfort he provided. At one point, I found myself tearing up, overwhelmed by the weight of my emotions. Max licked my hand gently, as if to say, "It's okay." When Mark and the kids finally came home, the house filled with laughter and chaos. I tucked my feelings away, putting on a smile as I watched them open their gifts. The kids were thrilled with their new toys, and Mark gave me a warm kiss on the cheek, thanking me for making everything perfect. But that night, after everyone was asleep, I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. The next morning, I made a decision. I couldn't keep ignoring my own happiness. I needed to talk to Mark, to tell him how I'd been feeling. It wasn't an easy conversation, but it was necessary. To my surprise, Mark listened. He admitted he'd been distant and promised we'd work on reconnecting. We started setting aside time for just the 2 of us, rediscovering the love we'd once had. I also began focusing on myself. I joined a local book club, started journaling, and even signed up for yoga classes. Slowly but surely, I began to feel more like the Emily I'd lost along the way. I spent time rediscovering old hobbies like painting and baking, which brought me joy for no other reason than the process itself. These small changes made a world of difference. One day, weeks after that Christmas Eve, I saw Max in the backyard again. This time, I went outside to greet him. We played fetch in the snow, his energy infectious and uplifting. I realized how much his companionship had meant to me that night, and how he'd given me the courage to face my emotions. Max wasn't just a neighbor's dog, he'd become a symbol of the changes I needed to make in my life. I began incorporating walks with Max into my daily routine. Our time together became a ritual, one that allowed me to clear my mind and reconnect with myself. As the seasons changed and winter gave way to spring, I found myself looking forward to those moments of peace and clarity. Looking back, that Christmas Eve was a turning point. It wasn't just about loneliness. It was about realizing that I deserved to be seen, heard, and loved, not just by others, but by myself. And while Max may not have understood the role he played that night, I'll always be grateful for the quiet comfort he gave me when I needed it most. Christmas is still my favorite time of year, but now it's not just about creating magic for others. It's about finding it within myself, too. The lessons I've learned from that night continue to shape me. I've realized that life isn't about perfection, but about presence. Whether it's a heartfelt conversation with a loved one or a quiet moment shared with a loyal companion like Max, it's these connections that truly make life meaningful. Sometimes, the simplest bonds carry the greatest lessons. That Christmas Eve, I learned the importance of being seen, not just by others, but by myself. As we cherish the magic of the holidays, remember, the greatest connection is the one we nurture within. Merry Christmas, and may you always find comfort in the warmth of companionship. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt tales. Share this with someone who loves a good story, and we'll see you in the next video.